Well, that's 5 days into spring practice. Auburn heads into spring break. 5 practices down, 10 to go. A lot of talk and chatter on both sides of the ball, but particularly on defense, about this being just a little bit different than last year, obviously the change of coordinators. But fill us in a little bit as far as what they're talking about, why this year is a little bit different.
Well, yeah, I mean, we heard from Austin Golson, Chandler Cox, Carl Lawson tonight. All of them just said that I guess the overall attitude of practice is different this spring than it was last year. I don't know how much that has to do with the staff. I mean, Carl mentioned that Kevin Steele seems to be getting that message across and seems to be meshing well with the players without having to yell. And obviously Will Muschamps was doing a lot of that when he was here. But yeah, I mean, I think overall the staff is a lot of turnover on the staff this year, and it seems to be going well so far. Of course, you know, it's March, and you know they're undefeated. Yes, exactly. They haven't played any games, and so I just think that overall the team is ready to bounce back from last year, and hoping that they can, you know, just perform better across the board.
And as you mentioned, that last year this time we were all hearing about and writing about that Will Muschamps and his staff showing up was bringing a different intensity, and much of the same jargon and verbiage you were hearing the same way.
Yeah.
Just with that staff, but that his intensity was great to have from one of the players. These are not two mutually exclusive statements. That first off, what do you expect the players to say?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to support their coach, and they're going to talk up their coaches, and that, you know, exactly. You expect them to do that.
And some, frankly, look, there's going to be styles that it can work for. One polar opposite styles can work for the same player, and some players, yes, some players are just not going to respond well to either side. And that's not to say that Will Muschamps only had one way, and that's not to say that Kevin Steele only has one way of going about things. But so far, yes, Kevin Steele's way of going about things has seemed to resonate pretty well with the defensive players. But interesting to hear from the offensive side and from Gus Malzahn that there seems to be a difference this spring as well, particularly on the offensive side. And there was some change over there, obviously, the offensive line coach, wide receivers coach as well. So it's interesting to hear that on the offensive side there's been a change as well. But as they head to break, some things to look for. We've mentioned that they haven't tackled yet. Gus Malzahn did leave open the possibility that the quarterbacks could go live. We heard more about JF3 tonight, as well as the other quarterbacks was.
Yeah, Brandon was asking specifically about Jeremy Johnson and Sean White, because Gus Malzahn had said something about John Franklin III displaying his wow factor, and he mentioned how he was being pretty elusive earlier in the week, and so, you know, we still haven't gotten any ideas to if there's a favorite in that race yet, but you know, I think that all the talk still is obviously around John Franklin III because of what he's able to bring to this team. But you know, we'll know a lot more. Yeah.
I think we're going to know a lot more. The bottom line is once we get back from break, once the team gets back from break, I think we're going to learn a lot more. If the plan is as such that Malzahn says, to go live at some point after they get back from break, probably that Saturday, likely in a scrimmage setting. If that is the case, and John Franklin III continues to show playmaking ability and elusiveness, particularly in the running game, if he does it while he's alive, it's one thing to do it in an orange non-contact jersey in a couple of padded practices. You do it five contact practices in a scrimmage setting, that could really begin to see some separation in that quarterback race. I think we'll learn a lot more in a couple of weeks.
Right.
But for now, yeah, everything we've been hearing from Auburn spring practice has been good through the first 5 days. So,
and I think another part of that is just because of the expectations for this team. Yeah. Obviously, last year, you know, they were ranked in the top 10. Even, you know, those way too early polls that they put out in the spring, you know, a lot of expectations were on Auburn this time last year. This year, that's not the case at all. Coming off of a 7-6 season, you know, I think that they just don't have as much pressure on them, maybe, and they're just being a little looser and having a bit more fun this time around. So,
and they'll have fun during spring break. We'll try and do it as well, while also covering the rest of Auburn's program. Big softball series coming up this weekend for sure. So check out more at AL.com from all of Auburn Athletics, in particular during this break from football.